Okay, hope everybody is enjoying the weekend. Today is June 13, 2015. This video, we're going to take a look at the market indices and some of the momentum stock. So let's start off with the S&P 500. The S&P 500 came down and tested the 2080 last week, and it got a bounce off of that and came back up and sort of hit this trend line that's a little bit of a resistance and then pulled back on Friday. Also, the other thing is, I have talked about that on Twitter and on previous video, that we're talking about these shooting star type of a candle, and whenever I see that shooting star candle, I always be on the lookout for a potential evening star type of a candle pattern. And usually when that develops, we normally see some sort of pullback, at least a minor one. And so next week we probably could see it retest this 2080 level once again, and depending how it's going to hold on this 2080 level, if it can't hold this level, then the chances are we'll probably see the S&P 500 come back down and retest this 2040 level. And also it could give a possibility of setting up a potential head and shoulder pattern. It's forming that right shoulder, because then now it come down here, and then if we get a bounce, so essentially we get a some sort of price action like this, then come down and break this neckline, then there's a good possibility that we might see a retest of the December low somewhere around down here at this 1972 1973 level. Then on the Dow Jones Industrial, it's very similar price action. Again, it kind of came up on a bounce here of the 17,766, 767, and again also came down and hit this trend line and pull back. So again, we're going to look for the retest of this 17,767 level and possibility of coming back down and retest this March pivot low somewhere in the 17,635. And also again, we might see some sort of a right shoulder off of a bounce to form. Then it will give us that head and shoulder pattern, that possibility of the head and shoulder pattern, and take it down to retest the December low once again. Okay. And then you can see on the transportation, a lot of people have been talking about that Dow Jones theory, the Dow theory. And right now, we're essentially still seeing it trending down, although it seems like it's trying to set up a small little W or a double bottom here. But again, in order for this pattern to reverse itself, it has to at least get back above this level and possibly, break this trend line here. So essentially, they have to get back above this 8,566 area, and it will be real good if we could see that come back up to take out this 88 area here, somewhere around this level, 8740 40-ish type of level here. Okay, then it will maybe set up a higher high, higher low. Then it could reverse that trend and possibly get back up to this trading band and maybe work itself back up to the previous high. So there's not an if here, but again, we're basically looking at this 8,300. If we break this 8,300, the chances are it's going to come down and retest this low here, this October low, which will be somewhere around the 7,700 area. And we're looking at the NASDAQ 100. The NASDAQ 100 is holding this trend line. Also got this bounce, just like the S&P 500, and it came up. And again, it's also hitting this low resistance and came down and actually gapped down on Friday here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it work itself back down here to this 43.80 area. And then maybe we see a bounce again, but all depend how the price action is when it get down here, and wouldn't be surprised to see it come back and retest this 43.05, and then maybe we get another look down at this these December low area. So then finally on the Russell 2000, the Russell 2000 sort of got close to try to take out the all-time high, but again you see this little doji here and spinning top in R7, and right now I'm basically still looking at the possibility, like I'm saying, that anything less than an all-time closing high, I'm basically still looking at this possible head and shoulder pattern, and with a neckline down here somewhere around this 1200 area. And if break that, then it's still looking at this December low for a retest somewhere at this 1140. Okay, so that's basically the index. And now let's go and take a look at some of the ETF. So let's go and take a look at the spider. Okay, you see the spider here. You got an NR7 spinning top here on Thursday, and then it kind of gap down, and we got a evening star type of pattern coming in. So again, we're kind of looking for a little bit further weakness and maybe get down to this 208, because it sort of came down at that 208 last week, and it got a nice bounce off of that couple-day rally. So a lot of people was thinking that they might reverse this trend, because we're so accustomed to buying the dip that a lot of people think this dip is, could take it back up to this high. Now, although it's still a possibility, nothing is impossible. Anything could happen. But right now, it's looking at this thing, it's probably most likely going to come back down and retest this 208 level. And then depending on how it's going to react at this 208, because you look at this here, there is a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern, and if we break that 208, there's a good chance that we might see this 204, 205 area get retested. Then there's also another possibility of this 198 down here, which is the December low. Okay. Then on the diamond, the similarity on the diamond, we see that little bounce off of here, got a little doji and a gap down, so another evening star type of pattern. Again, we're basically looking at this 178 area, come down at this 178, also this little bit of a head and shoulder pattern, and then we probably see it break down at this 176, then eventually get retested at this 170. Okay. And then also we're looking at the transportation, the IYT, trying to get back above this, get back into this trading band. It failed to do so the previous week. And then last week, it also got a nice little bounce. But again, it's kind of got stalled here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it to come back down and retest this 149, and probably will break that level and work itself down here to this 137, 138 area here. Okay. Then if we take a look at the Q, you can see the Q is also working itself down. This is still holding up on this trend line here. So we might get a retest of this trend line, but I'm also seeing, looking at this possibility to come back down to retest this 106.70. And again, essentially we're seeing a little bit, oops, that's too big of a head. A little bit of a head and shoulder pattern, and break this 106, 107 area, then come back and retest this 105. So that's one possibility. But again, there's always that chance that that probability of the coming back up and take out this high here, which is 110.96. Okay, so until it does that, any kind of rally would be very suspicious, because I'm looking at this thing to continue to test on the downside on some of these support level, and until we get a decisive bounce or a flush, to take out some of the excess from these run up here, then most likely we're going to work itself, the market going to work itself down, and just frustrate a lot of people and take them out, so over time. And this is the IWM. So it almost got close to the closing high here on this 126.55 on Thursday. It actually closed at what's that, 126.31, and the high is 126.54. So just 1 penny shy of the closing high. And then you see it kind of pull back. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back down and retest this trend line, and possibly come and test this 123 area, 122.71. So again, just like the Russell, the index, still looking for this possibility of head and shoulder, break this baseline of 120, and then come down and possibly retest this 113.39 level. Okay, so that's basically the index and the ETF. And now let's take a look at some of the stock. And so this first one is Apple. We see Apple also got a little bounce, and that probably pushes the market up to help push the S&P and the Q up on last week. But also it got this shooting star, and then now it's got this evening star. So right now I'm seeing this looking at Apple possibly come back down and retest this trend line, because I'm still looking at this little gap here. I believe this gap needs to be filled. Okay, so I'm looking at this area, this 120 area. Okay, so eventually I expect it to come down and test this level, and probably will fail and then flush it down, because there's another gap here, up here also. Maybe it got filled over here. So the thing is, but I'm really looking at this particular gap that it needs to get filled, and also it's basically somewhere up at this particular support resistant area as well. Okay. Because if you look out closely, you know, although that seems like there's a trend line coming up here, going up this way, but I think, you know, we're basically looking for this thing to come back down. Key is watch this trend line and then this baseline here, this 122.24. Okay. And on Facebook try to make a little bit of a run. So it's all dependent. If we could get back above this 82.95 or 83 level, then maybe you could get back and try to retest this 86, because there's this price channel that I'm looking at, and it is, if we get back up to the top of this price channel, then it will put in a new all-time high for Facebook. But if it can't get above that, let's say it's stalled here and then we start reversing back down and test this lower trend line here, then there's a good possibility that it is setting up a head and shoulder pattern, or like a double head, and then we'll take this thing down to retest maybe some of these level down here at 72 and possibly down at the 70 area. So those are the level to keep an eye on Facebook. Can it take out this 82.95, get about that 83, then work itself back up to the new high here? Okay, so that's the key. If you can't do that and we get below the 79, then here's the key level, which is somewhere around this 77.50. Okay. Then Twitter, when the CEO, announced that he's going to resign or quit on July 1st, it got a little bump on after hour, but it unable to hold it throughout the session. So that is very negative. And there's a pretty big volume as well on Friday. I'm still looking at 38.20. That's the key level that need to get back above. So right now it could be coming back down and retest this low here somewhere around this 35.13 area. So right now, Twitter is just not the one to go and try to chase or try to go and trade this thing, because there's a lot of better stock to trade than Twitter right now. So, but I'm still keeping an eye on it. So if we get back up above this 80, that's 38.20 area, then that might get a little bit interesting, and it might want to see a little bit of maybe possible inverted head and shoulder pattern. If we come back up like this and it come back up and test, then that might be something that might be worthwhile of taking a look at when it get to that point. But right now, there seems to favor on the downside here. It seems to be destined to come down and test some of these low here. So never know. It could always just pop and then gap up and then shoot back up. Maybe if somebody announced that they're going to buy it or something. And then Alibaba was talking about that maybe come up and fill this gap, but you can see that it's kind of got stalled after this earning gap. And right now, if we break this 86, then most likely we'll probably see it come down and fill this earning gap instead of coming back up and fill this previous earning gap. So the key level to watch here right now is this 86.12 and then this 89.30. So it seems to be trapped within this band here. Okay, so we'll just have to see, can it get back above this 89.30? If it could, then maybe it could work itself back up and try to fill this gap up here at 97.79. But if it can hold the 86.12, there's a good chance that it might come down and fill this gap, because I also got a little bit of a retracement extended down here on this. Basically there's a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern here if you look closely, right? So here's that shoulder. So you see this head and shoulder pattern. So if we break that, then the close to 80% move is somewhere around this 79. So essentially it's going to bring it back down to this low somewhere. So you might want to keep an eye on that. Okay. And on Netflix, we're talking about Netflix. The flag here initially, we talked about this flag and got a major move. So right now it's actually, if we take a look at this major move here, okay, and essentially getting up to this 80%, which is got up here last week. And then we also note that there was some consolidation here and put in another flag. And then with this particular major move on this flag, essentially it's also got into that 78, that 80% level. So if there's any more upside, then maybe get to the 710. But right now, looking at it, it seems like you want to come back down and might possibly come back and retest this level here. So just kind of keep an eye on that. If you're in in holding long on Netflix, and you just tighten up your stop and try to move your stop up or trail it or whatever to protect some of the profit. But I wouldn't be chasing it if I'm not in this, which I'm not. So if you're not in the long right now, I wouldn't be chasing Netflix. It's just the it looks like it needs to come down and consolidate a little bit. So it's a little bit, kind of risky to initiate any kind of new long up there. And here's Amazon. Amazon seems to be in this trading band. Ever since it gapped up from this earning report, and it just kind of come down and sort of confined in this trading band. So right now we got this little shooting star, and then again we got this evening star pattern coming down. So most likely we'll probably come down and see a test this 419 to 414 level. If it breaks below this point, which is 414.55, then there's a good chance that it could come down and fill this gap. And if it holds this 119, then maybe it could come back up within this trading band. Then that might be a little bit of a trade off with the the trading band support and play back up here for the 439, and maybe this time it will break out of this trading band and get back up to retest the previous high and possibly get into the new high. So those are some of the scenarios that you might want to keep an eye on. And then here's Google. Again, we were saying Google is pretty much in the no man's land, right in the middle here. You see that the 558, 556, and it's still kind of chopping around here, and it could be coming back down and retest this 531. So when it comes down to this 531, that might be a good possibility of looking at maybe some swing long and play back up to up here at this 583 level. So but right now, taking a trade on either side, I don't think that would be a good time to initiate any kind of long or short, because it's basically in the mid band, in this trading band, and it could go one way or the other. So I would rather wait for it to come down here and maybe try to look for a pattern to play off the bounce, or if it come up here, then look for a pattern to play for a pullback, off resistance. Okay. So, and if it's going to break out, then basically you wait for the breakout to come back and retest the baseline that it broke out from for any kind of possibility of going long. Okay. Then also on Tesla, Tesla is actually ever since it broke this trend line, it made a heck of a run. And if we take a look at also this pattern here, this sort of like a some sort of a double bottom here, right? When it broke this double bottom. Okay. Right, so, and it seems to get a nice major move to put it back up here to this 258 or 259 level, which it came up and pretty close. This the 262. Here's this resistance here, came up and tagged this resistance somewhere around this 258.85 and kind of pulled back a little bit right now. So if we put up a Fibonacci retracement here on this swing, you can see that on the 618, if it pulled back here, then essentially it's trying to retest this particular baseline that it broke out from on the basically these trading band, or sort of like a double bottom here, in which that we got this major move of the 262. So it's kind of wait for this thing to see could it come back down and make a pull back to retest this level, and see will there be any kind of new setup for a swing long back up to maybe a possibly a higher high. But for now, if you're not in it, I wouldn't chase it, not up at this level here. So unless what would be ideal, the things that I would look for is the possibility of pull back here and then come back up here. So now you can see that it actually forming an inverted head and shoulder pattern. Okay, then that might give us a nice move on the upside if we take this major move. Okay, so then finally GoPro. GoPro, we're looking at this inverted head and shoulder pattern. We talked about that a while, and I think I even posted a chart on that on Twitter. And right now it's coming back to retest this baseline, this 54.57. So, and also got a trend line here. So look for some sort of retest at this area. And if we get a nice bounce off of this area, then it might, be a opportunity for us to look for some sort of setup and possibly get up on a swing long and maybe play it back up here to this 69 and even possibly this 73 area. So we got this major move on near that 80% point, which is this pivot high. So if we could get back up here, then let's say it come down and then move back up here, then maybe get another pullback. Then all of a sudden, we again looking at this big, inverted head and shoulder pattern. Right? But for now, I think we want to look for maybe some kind of pullback here and see could we get some sort of setup and take a swing up there to this 69 area. Okay, so that's basically it on this video. Hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend and good luck on your trading next week.